Assalamu alaikum. In his Friday sermon, Hazur continued speaking on chapter 2, verse 130 of the Holy Quran that documents the prayer of Abraham. He explained that the fourth aspect of Abraham's prayer, which is the fourth excellence of the great prophet to come, was that he would purify people. Chapter 62, verse 3 of the Holy Quran confirms this was fulfilled in the coming of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. The Arabic word tazkiyah, purification, implies something enhanced or augmented, which grows or develops, as well as is made pure. The significance of growth is of two kinds. One is to develop oneself, and the other is to grow in numbers and apparatus. The purification is also of two kinds, that which is obvious on the outside, and that which is internal on the inside. The second Khalifa, may Allah be pleased with him, said that this great prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, would not only purify minds by imparting wisdom, but would purify hearts by filling them with the love of God. Hazur said attaining this purification is our objective, and we should continue striving to benefit from the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and for this reason he is called Muzaki, which in Arabic means the purifier. Hazur explained that the transformation of the companions of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was nothing short of a miracle from God. The promised Messiah, peace be upon him, wrote that the purification introduced by the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, transformed the companions from savage barbarians to humble worshippers of God. The very same faculties they previously employed to seek sin were later utilized to seek the pleasure of God. These changes, however, did not come about overnight, and this transformation requires patience through trials and tribulations. Today we witness the fulfillment of the divine promise for the mission of the promised Messiah, peace be upon him. Temporary impediments and trials should not generate despair. History bears witness that as long as Muslims adhered to the teachings of the purifier, they won over the hearts of their enemies. These will play out in the example of Ahmadiyya as well. Hazur said that in order to purify ourselves, we need to put the teachings of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, in practice. Once we have done this, no force on earth can stop our triumph. Did all the restrictions put on us in Pakistan impede our progress? On the contrary, our progress accelerated as never before. The same will apply to Indonesia and anywhere in the world where Ahmadis are experiencing oppression. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Avoid oppression, because oppression will manifest itself as darkness on the day of judgment. Avoid greed, avarice, and malice, as it destroyed earlier peoples." The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, described a destitute person as someone in his community who will present himself on the day of judgment with his prayers and fasting, but he will have abused people and usurped others' properties. His virtues of prayers and fasting will be granted to his victims, and he will thus become destitute on the day of judgment. Further explaining the concept of purity, Hazur recited chapter 2, verse 223 of the Holy Quran, and said that Allah desires cleanliness. Islam teaches oral hygiene, bodily cleanliness, and environmental purity. Prior to praying, Muslims are admonished to perform ablution and use of fragrance that is also promoted. Hazur emphasized cleansing one's heart as the central theme in Islam. He elaborated upon three vices which impede one's purification, the first of which is jealousy. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Avoid jealousy. It burns up virtues like fire consumes grass." Hazur said that if the time people wasted on jealousy was spent constructively, they would easily surpass others. The second vice is lying. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, enjoined to adopt truth, for it leads to virtues which takes one to paradise, whereas falsehood leads to the fire. The third vice is habitual borrowing without repayment. People make outlandish excuses and accusations when it comes time to repay the loan. Hazur said this is not the practice of the pure-hearted, and if the borrower is experiencing hardship, arrangements should be pursued with due courtesy. In conclusion, Hazur prayed that Allah enable us to put the teaching of the great prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, in practice, and may Allah include us amongst the pure. Assalamu alaikum.